Hello and welcome back to the complete course of Azure Machine Learning. So in this lecture, we will see how do we set up a pipeline. And here, let's create a two cluster. So here is two clusters. So let's create a two cluster independently for the data preparation and the training a model. So here we have already seen how to create a cluster. We'll just go down here, right? So what we did it, we are creating a new cluster with a name demo cluster prep. And here, if the cluster is, we'll see whether the cluster is already present in a portal or not. So here, if I'll go to the compute cluster, we can see that the we have only the one demo cluster present, right? Now here we are creating a new cluster. One is for a cluster for a preparation and another cluster for the training. So I will execute this one. So here we are having a two cluster. This one is for the preparation, data preparation, and this one is for training. Let's execute both. So it will take some time to execute both the cluster. Yes, it is executed. So now go back to your portal and see whether the cluster has been created or not. Wow, it has been created. So now we are having a two separate cluster. Here I have given the same configuration. So if you see here, I have given the same configuration, right? However, what here I did it for preparation, I give only one node, and here for the training purpose, I have given the maximum two nodes. However, there are other configurations also. You can change it. You can also change the VM size. However, because I'm using a free account, that's why I used only the one VM size for both the case. So the purpose of explaining is that we can create a two different cluster for a two different purpose, right? So now we can see that our both the cluster is ready, right? And now let's add few of the libraries to create a pipeline. So here I'll just import from Azure dot pipeline dot core import pipeline. We will also import from Azureml dot pipeline dot steps import Python scripts. So here itself from Azureml dot core dot run config import. I'll just explain you what for each library is meant for. Run configurations, right? And we'll also try to import one more, which is from Azureml dot pipeline dot core port pipeline data. So now I'll execute this. So the first import would be used to create a pipeline. So here we would be having a different steps, training steps and validation steps and the preparation steps. So we'll encapsulate each of these steps into this pipeline. This Python script steps. So in doing the training, we have used the script run config. But when you are segregating your whole process into the sub steps, then you will use a Python script steps rather than using a script run config, right? This run configuration would be used to set up your environment, that what kind of environment on which you are executing your steps, right? And this pipeline data would be used because within the following steps. So when you do the data preparation, right? Once the data preparation would be done, the output of that data would be used by the training data. So the output of a step 1 would become the input of the step 2, right? So how do we pass the data? That is why this pipeline data would be used. So now we have already imported all the libraries. Now just write AML underscore run underscore config. Just create an object of run config. First of all, we'll set an environment. And now, since we are saying that AML underscore run underscore config dot target, right, equals to this cluster train. So what we are saying that this config, whatever the config we have set it up, this config in this particular environment, my the second cluster which is meant for the training would be there. So we are setting up the training cluster for this run config, right? So once this is done, we'll create an experiment. So experiment equals to experiment workspace and the name of a new experiment. So I'll write pipeline and demo. I think it's fine. Yes, yeah. So yes, it is. We can give any name. So I have just given the pipeline demo. And now what is the next step? What we have done it previously? Now we need to set up a Conda environment, your libraries which is getting installed. So what we'll do it? So we'll use env train and environment dot from Conda. The way we did it from Conda specifications and then the name of an environment, right? So name. So what I'll do it, I'll just copy it from wherein we have done all this. So here, this is what we did it, right? This environment we have set. So I'll just copy the same environment which would be required for the training purpose. So here I'll give the name is as a virtual environment and this file is present. All this dependency would be present in the env file.yml, correct? And finally, we'll set this environment aml underscore run config dot environment equals to env train. So this is how we have created an environment and we have set it up in a run configuration that this environment would be set it up into this configuration which will get executed in the pipeline, right? So in the next lecture, we will see how can we retrieve the data from the pipeline data. So thank you.